Welcome back to the second episode of Midlife Midweek Ramblings. Okay, so this week I'm going to introduce you to 3 podcasts that you may not have heard of. I was a guest on those over the holidays. I am going to talk to you about vitamin C for menopausal skin and my favourite products and within a budget. And I'm going to keep you up to date on my latest knitting projects because yes, I've been working away, beavering away on my projects. So if you want to come along for the ride, I'll see you in a minute. Go and get your tea or your coffee and I'll see you soon. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for everyone that tuned into last week's episode. That was really fun. I had some great feedback and you give me some ideas of things I can do moving forward. So thank you very much for sharing your comments, for watching, and hopefully, like I said, this will evolve over time. Just a reminder, I'm Amanda, I'm your host. I'm a personal trainer and nutrition coach, and so that's what a lot of the content's going to be about in these ramblings. I also wrote the book, Menopocalypse. So I talk about menopause a lot because it's the life stage that we're all going to go through, and it really impacts how we should be looking at fitness, nutrition, and everything within our life. So that's going to be the basis of the podcast, of the YouTube channel. And apparently they call it a podcast, even though it's a visual. So whatever, I'm trying to be hip and cool and stay with the lingo. But also I'm going to just talk about other stuff that floats my boat. And as you know, that's usually crafty stuff and traveling. And so that's going to be part of the discussion as well. Okay, so a little bit of admin and a few updates. So I have been on 3 podcasts recently, and these were 3 new podcasts to me, and so I've spent a little bit of time listening to some of these podcasts, and honestly I really like them, and so I thought I'd let you know about them, and I will put all of the links in the description below so you can go to them later. You don't need to write anything down, although as you know I am a bit of a fan of my notebooks, and so I have my whole show today written down for you. So the first podcast I went on to is actually a Toronto local radio show, but it actually has a podcast, and it's Zoomer Radio. And I was on a podcast called Go to Grandma. And when I first heard about it, I was like, go to grandma? You know, come on, I'm 52 and my kids aren't even out of school yet. Anyway, but whatever, this is a woman who is a grandma, but she's in her 50s and she's trying to embrace health. And so I was on there talking about menopause, but she has some really, really great guests on. She has some sexual health experts on when I was on. She had some dietitians on. And anyway, the show was really good. Go to Grandma. This is it here. And the link will be below. And Kathy Buckworth, who is the host, is amazing. I actually follow her on Instagram, and she's always posting her workouts, and she does strength training, and so I really like that. So that's just a really great like Canadian, like local one. Second one I was on was a nutritionist in the UK called Jackie Lynch, and she has a show called Well. And we sort of talked about, you know, New Year's resolutions and like how they can backfire. I spoke about this last week, and how sustainable small habits are a much better like strategy for looking after our health as we go through, you know, midlife, as we age, any time of our lives really, because inevitably New Year's resolutions fail. And so we talked about that within the show, but it's very much a specific show about menopause. Jackie's crowd are menopausal women, and she gets a guest on every month, so it's not very often. She only has 1 episode released. Jackie's super nice, really easy to talk to. And so I talked essentially about my book, of course. I mean, I feel like that's all I ever do. I talked about my book, but really I had a deep dive into, you know, the strategies around why I'm so insistent on building habits rather than doing extreme changes. That's a great new podcast for you. And then the last one I went on was with someone who I've had on my podcast, and it was a really popular episode, Katie Fogarty, and she has a podcast called A Certain Age. She sort of encourages to age out loud. And it was really all about, this wasn't about menopause, but really about the whole shift that I went through going through midlife, and obviously the problems I had with menopause. But then how to reframe and how to look forward with positivity. And it's not sickly positivity, it's not toxic positivity, it's like real strategies about how to reframe and get the best out of life. Really like Katie. She's one of these people that's so good if you're looking and you're lost in your career, and she just gives you really good, valuable advice, so you can sit down and just really sort of think about things and think about how you want to move forward with your life. So 3 very different podcasts. I really hope you go and check them out. I love supporting other women in this space because they really do add value. And so, yep, so there's that. And then of course there's my own podcast. Now I finished, with all due respect, season 2 over Christmas, and my next season won't be out until spring. And I've decided to do 2 seasons a year. So I've got an April season and an October season. And the reason I'm doing that is because literally it's just a lot of work. I want to give value rather than just giving quantity. I wanted quality. And so the last person I had on that episode was Lizzie Bermudez, and she is somebody who I connected with on social media but then got to meet in real life. And Lizzie has the most amazing story, and it's actually really shitty as well. So she was an anchor on TV in San Francisco, and she was aged out of her job. Essentially, they kept bringing younger people in to do her work and training younger people and leaving her behind. It was a very, very traumatic time for Lizzie, a career that she'd forged for decades. And she was essentially pushed out for getting older. And so this happened around COVID. She, ended up leaving a job, falling into a very deep depression. I mean, everything she'd ever worked for had just crumbled around her, and had to do the work there, a lot of therapy. And, she's really been very open about this, and has now created her own platform, Lizzie B TV, and she really wants to highlight women in midlife who have these type of challenges. She's bloody funny, oh my god. We met in real life when I was doing the Menopause Symposium in New York, with the one with Naomi Watts, ooh la la, and honestly that was just such a great experience for me. But I needed a volunteer on the stage, and I looked over and I saw Lizzie and I was like, she's the one. And she came up on the stage, and of course she was perfect. So check out those 3 podcasts, check out my podcast, and let's move on. Okay, so while I'm just getting my vitamin C ready for you, oh my god, I've just watched the first 6 episodes of Yellowstone. Do you watch it? Oh my god, I just love it. And then I like to binge watch things. I just don't like watch it. I don't like waiting week to week. And so we watched 6 episodes of Yellowstone, and we realized we were only halfway through. Oh my god. And there's still another 6 episodes to go. And so I'm now not going to watch them until they've all been released, and then I'll binge watch the next 6. But I just can't believe what a brilliant show this is. I just love it. I love everything about it. And so, oh my god. Anyway, do you watch it? And do you love Rip? Oh my god. It's this the best show, isn't it? Okay, we're going to talk about vitamin C. I've got 3 products to show you, and we're going to I'm going to give you some price points on this. Right, so vitamin C. I have spoke before on my Instagram, and I spoke last week about being that person in her 20s that used sun oil on everything. Never used sun protection, sun oil. Oh, and so I'm paying the price for that. I have some discoloration or whatever, and I'm okay with it, but I'm trying to make the best of what my skin is doing now, and it's so dry after going through menopause, 4 years post-menopause. The estrogen really does have an intrinsic link with our collagen production and our skin elasticity and the moisture and all of that. And so you've got to work with what you've got, right? And so I, about 4 or 5 years ago, reached out to my friend who was an esthetician. Maybe I might get her to come on this show at one time, and she gave me this very, very basic routine that was 3 things in the morning and 3 things at night. And one of the things of the morning routine she gave me was vitamin C. Now, According to Google, you know, the expert, vitamin C is a science-backed dermatological favorite skin ingredient that may help slow early skin aging, prevent sun damage, and improve the appearance of wrinkles, dark spots, and acne. Okay, that's from Harvard Health. And I just used it because she told me to, not because of any of like any of the stuff I've just read out to you. And so the first product that I bought, and the one that she told me to get, is this one called Timeless. I hope you can see this. And if not, I'll put it up here anyway. So Timeless. So Timeless, it says it's a 20% vitamin C ferulic acid with vitamin E. Now, I started using this about 3 years ago, and I actually love it. So I know that vitamin C and E are antioxidants, so they help against free radicals and all of those things. And so the reason I love it is because I wash my face every morning. I use Cerave, or water, you know, just the facial cleanser. I don't use anything fancy. And then while my skin's a little bit wet, I put the vitamin C on, and it gives it like a brightening. It sort of brightens the skin, and that's the reason I use it. It sort of gives like a little, like a glow. And when people ask me how my skin doesn't look so dull, I know it's because of vitamin C. So I'm going to go through all of these products and show you a little bit what they're like. Now, the Timeless one, if there's any left, because I know I'm nearly out, can you see, is like a liquid, right? It's like a liquid. And I'm not going to put it on my face because I've already got some on. And so you just need 2 squirts, and you put it on your face, and you leave it for about 1 minute. And then you can put your serum on if you use that, and your sunscreen. I'll share my favorite serums another time. Now I'm going to give you some price points for the different products, because they're not created equal, right? And I'll give you them based on the cost that I have in Canada here, but there, you know, you can work it out. So Timeless vitamin C, which is one of my favorites, is 35 US dollars, sorry, not Canadian, 35 US dollars. And that lasts me about 2 months. So I actually don't think that's too bad. But if you're looking for a cheaper option, Cerave actually do their own, and this cost me $25 Canadian, so that's going to be about 20 US. And it comes in a tube like this, and it lasts about the same time as the Timeless. And I just need to pierce the lid, I suppose. I don't know how you do it without the special lid. But this one actually feels a little bit different when it comes out. So the Cerave, as you can see, is a serum. But it feels really nice. And so you can see it's really thin. And again, I put that on, it absorbs really easily. And again, leave that for about 1 minute. Now, the other one, the Timeless one, has 20% vitamin C in, and I think that's maybe why I like it so much. The Cerave is 10%. And then I have this one. This is another favorite, number 7. I mean, I am drawn to number 7 because I'm English. It's Boots number 7. I love all their products. They have my favorite foundation, my favorite primer, which I use like once a year because I always forget to use it. And this is about 35 Canadian, so about 30 US. And this one is a droplet. So this one's a little, my hands are too greasy, I can't open it now. So this is your droplet. And you only need 2 drops. Or I just put 1 on for now. And it's a little bit of a different texture to the Cerave, so it's almost like more like a thick gel. So you have this one, which is a serum, almost cream, of 10%. You have the droplet serum that's a bit more tacky, like a gel, number 7, that's 15%, and then the Timeless, which is the liquid, which is 20%. And honestly, there's only about $5 difference between them all. And I think Timeless, and I think I like them in that order. I think I like the Timeless first, then I like the number 7, and then I like the Cerave. And there's other products out there, of course, they're everywhere now. But they're the ones I like the most. And now I actually have the 3. I don't really need the 3. That's going to last me half a year, maybe 8 months. It really does last. And I honestly think it's one of the nicest things I've used on my skin, and I started buying it for my mum and my real estate agent. Like, if you're a friend of mine, I've probably bought you vitamin C, right? Because it just seems to be the thing I do. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Oh, by the way, before I move on to my projects, just read this really cool book. Now, I really do love books, you know, like paper. I'm very much old school. Like, I don't want to read it on a PDF on my laptop. But what I've started doing on an evening is borrowing library books and reading them on my phone. And I read them on my phone because I just like the black on white. Can you see that? And I like using the library system, and the library system have been very supportive of me and my book, Menopocalypse, right? They have it in the library, and I love that. And so I haven't got a picture to show you. I haven't got the book to show you that I've just read, so I'll put it up here and a link. But I just read a book called The Daughter of Dr. Moreau. I hope I've said Moreau properly. And it's written by Sylvia Marino Garcia. I don't know. Sylvia Marino Garcia. Anyway, this book I read on my library app, and it's part of my whole sleep routine. I turn off my electronics. This has got a blue light on it. I have my calming tea. I go to bed half an hour earlier, and I read for 30 minutes. And so I've been using the library app to do that. In Toronto, it's called the Libby app. Anyway, so I read this book, and I read it because I ran out of books to read, and it was just recommended, and it was like the coolest book. And I'm just going to recommend you read it just because it was very interesting. Essentially, it's set in rural Mexico, and it's all about this doctor who is a French doctor who moves to Mexico with his daughter because he's almost being shunned by the scientific community in France, and he is creating hybrid creatures. And it's just this really odd story, and I suppose it maybe is a little bit of fantasy, but it feels very real, and it's just this very cool story. Anyway, I just was completely drawn into it, and it's got amazing reviews, so anyway, check that out if you're interested. I actually really loved her writing, and there was, and you know when you get a book and then there's new words, and then you're like, oh my god, there's another word I never knew about, and I thought I knew words. And I just loved her writing style, and it was one of those books that when I went to bed at night, I didn't want to like skim through because I had to rush and read it for book club. It was just a very good, really satisfying read. It just had meat on the bones, and yeah, I loved it. I think it's the type of book they're going to make into a movie. Anyway, so check that out and let me know if you think there's something else I should read, because I'm always looking for good books. Okay, as I wind up this little ramble, I'm going to talk about the projects I've been up to. So hang on a sec, I'm going to have another slurp of my coffee. By the way, I am drinking coffee because it's early in the morning. I haven't been up long. My son's just gone to school and I'm trying to wake up. And my coffee is so strong, I literally could, stand my spoon up in it. So I'm going to have a slurp and then let's move on. So, as you know, I went to Scandinavia for my holiday with my family, vacation with my family last year, and I made them all pick a ball of wool. I was going to make them their memory item, and I showed you the trigger gloves of my son last week, and then for my husband, he picked this, and I just love it. Look at this wool. So this is a superwash wool, so it's actual wool with nylon in, and it's a sock yarn, and it's a sock yarn that's been dyed to look like Aurora Borealis, and we never saw the northern lights when we were in Norway. It was the wrong time of year, but essentially you knit this yarn up and you can see how very, very thin and fine it is. but it's fluffy and oh my god, it's like squishy soft. Love it. I love this. And it's also made by Viking of Norway, which I love. So I bought 2 of these because I overshot like I usually do, so I bought too much. But I made my husband these socks and I just love them, and so does he. So these are the socks that I made him. And what's really cool is I tried to match the socks so that they, you know, were essentially the same. But because the yarn has been dyed to be uneven, they've come out uneven, but they've ended up looking very, very cool. I absolutely love them. They're so like, the colors are so beautiful and they've knitted up so well. Can you see how fine they are? Anyway, he is so happy with them, which makes me really happy. But now I'm left with a whole ball of wool and I'm like, what shall I do with this? And I've decided that I'm going to make myself a shawl, and I'm going to put up this shawl here that I saw recently, and it was based on having one skein of yarn and you don't know what to do with it. And I don't want to always make socks with sock wool, but because this is super fine, I thought this might look nice in a shawl. And the shawl, I'm thinking in the summer I could like wrap around it and it'd be very fine and thin and lacy, but in the winter I can wrap it around and it'd be like full and scrunchy. But I just think the gradient of the colours will look very good, and because I've got that greeny blue colour in my eyes, those colours really work for me and pop. So yep, anyway, these are the socks I made. I'm super happy with them. And I'm going to take my hair down because I'm going to put my hat on. And my hair's a mess, by the way, because I need to wash it. Okay, so do you remember I started doing my hat? And this was the wool that I got from those beautiful women in Peru that were hand weaving, hand dyeing yarn. I wish I knew what plant they used to dye this yarn with, because I can't remember, because and my friend watches this, Joanne. Joanne, what plant did they use? Because they actually picked and foraged the plants and used the dyes from the berries. It was amazing. Anyway, I bought one skein of this and it was expensive and I didn't want to buy too much, but I have regrets because I wish I'd bought 2 because I ran out. And so what I had to do is colour block. And so you can see I did a colour block with something I had lying around, and it's this hand woven yarn from Yorkshire Spinners. And it was like a tweed that had purple running through, and it ended up looking really good, didn't it? I love it. This is the very first cable knit I've ever done, and it was so easy. And I've always looked at cable and thought, why does that look so intricate and so hard? And so, what do you think? What do you think? I actually really like it. I'm going to have a look at myself while I'm filming to see if I actually do like it. I mean, that's not bad, is it? And I love having a scrunchy bit on top. And so, yeah, I finished it. I'm super happy with it. It was a very fun, easy project to knit. And if you're interested, I'm going to pop the pattern details below, because I know some of you knit because you've told me. And so, yeah, that's that. Okay, so as we finish up this, I just wanted to give you an update on the work I've been doing with Naya. Now, I don't know if you remember, but I am part of a startup company in Canada, and it started because I was having conversations with my friend, Dr. Ardell Piper, who is an OBGYN in Ottawa and a menopause specialist. And I just kept saying to her, women are waiting 2 years to go and see a menopause specialist in Canada. And I know that this is a global phenomenon, it's not just Canadian. And she was saying, yeah, and then when they come and see somebody like me, I spend my hour appointment about 45 minutes actually educating them on menopause, and I only spend 15 minutes with treatment options, and it's not a good use of my time, it's not a good use of their time. And she escalated that to her friend, who is the professor of pharmacy and the chair-elect of the Canadian Menopause Society coming up. And she started venting, and then she spoke to her 2 friends who were menopausal women who'd had terrible experiences with the medical community, who were trying to help her but didn't know enough about menopause. You know the whole story there. So it ended up that there was 5 of us with this single mission, that we wanted to improve the healthcare experience for women in menopause everywhere globally. And we created Naya, and essentially it's got menopause education. So the two medical people within the company have created educational tools, like actual lessons for women to be ask questions about menopause, and so that when they go to their doctor they're fully informed. There's programs and tools, so there's strength training, there's mobility, there's nutrition, there's mindfulness. So we've got all of this within the program, and then we have like this healthcare assessment that's done with a medical professional that can write prescriptions or do referrals for you. And so it's a big undertaking. And we did a pilot group in October of 100 participants. We had 1,000 people apply. We did 100 participants, and we did focus groups and feedback. And at the end of it, like, we've just collated everything. We've come up with what we consider to be the perfect model of healthcare for women in menopause, and it was based on the feedback from the people in the group. And so we're very excited about it. So in February I'm going to Ottawa with the team, and we're going to pull our business plan together. We're looking for angel investors to help us pull the infrastructure together, because this platform is not out there. We need someone to develop the code and write the AI, because we actually want the experience of a woman in menopause to come to our site, and it tailor the experience based on where they are in their journey and what their needs are. And so, oh my God, I'm so excited about it. Menopause is having its moment. There was a big show on the National, and there was a CBC article about the whole conversation about menopause. I wasn't included. I don't know why, but that's okay, because the people that were included were amazing, and I'm fully behind all of these women. And so we're just going to be part of the solution. But the solution isn't just going to be for Canada. When we have this site up and running, it's going to be for all women globally. So watch this space. I'll keep you informed. We have a launch date in mind of July. A lot of work involved. It's exciting for me. It's what I've sort of been hoping and dreaming for the last 8 years. So anyway, it's all coming to fruition. So lots going on with me, busy time. And yeah, so that's it. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoy doing this because it's just a really great way for me to just give you an update on where everything is and things that might interest you and yada yada yada. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Oh, before you go, what's really helpful for me, and I should be a bit better about this, and I'm sure I'll get better over time, is if you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up, because apparently the algorithms like that, and it will give me more reach. It will just get published in more places and I'll get more followers. I think I've got like 3,000 followers on YouTube, which isn't very much, and that's okay. Really, it's not a big deal for me. I've got followers on lots of different platforms that total about 100,000, but I just think this for me is a bit more of a preferred platform, so I would like to just get a bigger audience. So yes, subscribe and like, and now I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye for now.